89.9 LightFM with Clayton taking you through this morning, and a real honour to have one of the captains of the 18 AFL clubs on the line with us at the moment, Andrew Swallow from the North Melbourne Footy Club. G'day, Andrew.
G'day, Clayton. How are you?
I'm doing really well, thanks, mate. And first of all, congratulations. First year with the big C next to the name. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's been really enjoyable. So I'm still really privileged to have a couple of old guys around the club, in Brent Harvey and Drew Petrie. So been able to follow their advice pretty closely, but yeah, really enjoying the challenges that come its way with I suppose the captaincy and just enjoying getting out there and playing and leading the team.
I reckon you sort of go back, say, a couple of decades. A captain of a footy club here in Melbourne. Aim was to be inspiring on the field, to lead the players on the field. That was the job of what the captain was. That's still the job of what the captain, but then there's this other part which is arguably perhaps even greater now of having to interact with the media, having to make sure you're facing all the press conferences. Every tiny little thing you say could get taken out of context. How are you coping with that side of it?
It hasn't been too bad. We're pretty lucky these days. We've got guys who are like media people at the club who train us up and make sure that we're saying the right things and putting across the right messages. So, as you said, that's a really big part of what the captain does. But I suppose, the thing I've learned, since I've come into the job over the last couple of months, it's a lot of the time is actually taken up about really developing the list. And we got such a young, squad at North Melbourne that, we spend a lot of time just trying to develop these kids to try and fast track their growth and their development and get into playing, great footy as soon as they can. So the more time we can put into them, building the relationships with them, the more they seem to improve and thrive. And hopefully that will result in, a bit of on-field success.
Yeah. In terms of, pouring into them, are we talking straight footy stuff, or is it a bit of life stuff that you're able to pour into them as well? Is that sort of part of the job of what is expected as a captain and a leadership group?
Yeah, you're right. It's a bit of both. So the footy stuff, I suppose, is a massive part of it. But because the kids who come down and get drafted, and most of them are 18 years old, they're still so young and raw, and sort of get there and eyes wide open, and don't really know what to expect. So you're teaching them a lot of life skills. Kids who come in, a lot of them don't know how to cook for themselves, don't know how to do their own washing. So there's basic life skills like that, and also having to cope and deal with the media, as you said before, with all those sort of things. So there's the whole range of skills that we try and teach them and make sure that they've got a really balanced life off field, because if it was just playing football all the time, it'd be a pretty tough existence. So they need to have a really balanced life and try and get them engaged off field.
I know that you've been, pretty open and honest about some of your thoughts in various areas of, absolute no drugs in the sport, these sorts of things as well. And you've been quite open too with your faith, your Christian faith, Andrew. How does it? I love asking sportsmen, especially sportswomen too, who have a Christian faith, how it impacts their lives, because it sort of impacts different people in different ways. How do you sort of say your Christian life and the life that you're living impacts your footy? How does it work for you?
I don't know. I feel really balanced. I know that, for me, football's not the be-all and end-all. So, if I was to end tomorrow, I'd still be quite happy and content doing whatever challenges come my way. So, that's probably the best thing I found with my faith is, just allows me to do what I do and, with a real peace and knowledge that I can, everything's out of my control, and I just work on what I can and, look forward to what comes ahead.
Now, I know not that long ago you're back at home where you've originally come from in Perth playing the Eagles, and I know there was one decision especially that didn't you weren't too happy about, Andrew. You got pretty excited, I suppose, is a good way to describe it, to the umpire, sharing your point of view in that regards. How do you sort of move on from that? Just as a player generally, I mean, you're a captain, you're the leader, you have to just move on. How in those moments when you just feel so wronged by a call, do you just move on and not sort of just keep living it over for the next few minutes and effectively, not be your best? How do you actually move on yourself on the field?
Yeah, well, I probably wasn't excited with the feelings I was there. I was quite angry. You realise that the umpires, they make decisions and they're like us. Football players, we're making decisions wrong decisions all the time, and maybe it was a correct decision he made, but I felt like I was a bit cheated, I suppose, in that situation. But yeah, I suppose as soon as the ball gets thrown up in the middle, the next time you forget about it and you move on, and probably just drives you a bit more to try and get the win. So you're probably running around with for a few minutes with a bit of adrenaline trying to get the footy.
Yeah, that's it. Sometimes that can be the worst thing if you don't control it in the end. You just end up running around wasting all your energy. You don't even get the touch of the ball. Yeah,
no, you're right there. So, yeah, no, it was you get frustrated out there, but it's all part of footy, and nowadays because it's, I suppose, on TV and you're heavily scrutinised, so you've got to be pretty careful what you're doing.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about the demands of an AFL player and then a captain as well off field. There's a lot of things that you're actually expected to do. I mean, whether it's heading along to an Oz kick or the promotions of a sponsor or something like that of the club. How much time are you actually expected away from the field to actually be doing those sorts of things? Do you actually have you have to do this certain amount of days or anything like that, Andrew?
No, it's probably just on a case-by-case, depending on what things need to be done. So, some weeks it might be pretty quiet where you don't have much on, and other weeks they seem to put everything in all together. So, yeah, it varies a lot. And as you said, there's a wide variety of things that we do, whether it's going to sponsors functions or, doing a promotional video or a voiceover at a radio station. There's a heap of things that you need to do. And yeah, it was probably a bit of an eye-opener when I first came into the job because, you sort of think traditionally a captain just tosses the coin at the start of the game, has a chat to the boys and run out and it's all good. But, these days there's a lot more involved.
Yeah. Andrew, as you progress, you still got a whole heap of years left in footy, hopefully, at least anyway. What would you hope as you sort of walk away from the game, people would say about Andrew Swallow as a person, as a player, as they sort of look back on your career in the future? What would you hope they'd say?
Oh, I'd hope they would say I was a competitor on the field. That I was someone who was respected for the way I prepared and the way I, played out in the field, and someone who lived a pretty balanced life. Who was pretty successful off the field as well. So that's probably the way I'd like to remember it, and hopefully, fairly successful as well. So a couple of premierships would be handy.
That'd be all right too. Maybe even, I reckon there might be a chance by the end of your career could be Brownlow medalist Andrew Swallow as well. That's certainly my tip. Andrew, I believe also, was it last year you got a call up for the international rules? Is that right?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough the first opportunity.
What was it like getting a call up? Because you're playing a league that is only Australia, so you can't represent your country in your sport. What was it like?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. International rules was a great experience. It was, a bit of a challenge to get used to kicking a round ball instead of the sharing. So that was great. But it was just nice to mix and meet a few different guys from other clubs. And it's really funny how when you actually meet these guys, you sort of build a opinion of the players about how they play on field. But when you actually meet them in person and spend a bit of time with them, they're so different. So I really enjoyed that aspect of I suppose the series, and just to test yourself in a different sport. Although it's fairly similar to what we do. Kicking a round ball is so foreign to us. So just being able to, I suppose, challenging yourself a bit more in a different area was great.
Yeah. Did you pick up any hints and tips from your teammates in that one that you now can actually use against them when you play them, through the regular season?
Not too many. I suppose you've a few different, jokes that go on during the trip. Maybe as they're having a shot for goal, you might yell out something to them. But there wasn't too many things.
Oh, there you go. Look, Andrew, thanks so much for having a chat to us today. Great to hear a bit of an insight into a captain's world and your life as you go through. Great to hear a bit about, I suppose, we certainly hear the joy of playing footy in your voice as well. Good luck for the weekend. Thanks again for your time today.
No worries. Thanks a lot, Clayton.